Hi everyone, it's Elaine Hamilton, and I wanted to have a little chat around affirmations because I know that in Reiki and also in personal growth, we tend to use affirmations as a good way to start to shift our mindset around certain things and also to uncover hidden reasons why we're not hitting some of our goals or when we're doing a lot of negative self talk, why it's so difficult to kind of shift that around. So, the idea of affirmations is if you imagine that you have been feeding your mind, your mental state, certain statements or beliefs for many, many years that are unhelpful. So they could be unhelpful beliefs like I'm so stupid, I'm useless, I can't do this, I'm not worthy. I mean, we have such a massive list of them. And then often we will repeat them to ourselves without even consciously realizing we do it. So oftentimes when somebody says something to us, then we might just automatically go, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm so stupid." Right? Or, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm so impatient." Or, "Oh, I get easily angered." So this idea of talking what we believe about ourselves often becomes self-fulfilling prophecies and also becomes unkind ways that we can beat ourselves up when we're just making mistakes or when we're just not as aware as we could be just because we've got a lot on our mind or whatever, or sometimes it's just simply you are that kind of way designed. Like some of us really are a bit more scatty. Some of us might have neurodivergent issues. Some of us might have difficulty with attention and focus. And so you can see how this stuff might have started. It might have started at school. Maybe your teachers or your parents told you certain things that they thought about you, and then you integrated them and absorbed them, and then it became your belief. So, affirmations can be a great way of starting to reprogram that mind that likes to keep repeating thoughts over and over again so that the thoughts that are being repeated are less damaging, they're more positive. And in the beginning, it can feel a bit kind of weird, like there was a lot of movies and stuff that you were using affirmations, and you see the guy like standing in the mirror shouting at himself, "I am successful, I can do it." It's like in the movie, so Show Me the Money is called the movie, where Tom Cruise is like, "Show me the money." And things like that can give affirmations a kind of kooky name, or it's just brainwashing. But essentially, that's what it is. It's just brainwashing, right? But the brainwashing can work because if you imagine all your life you've been calling yourself stupid, then one, you're constantly looking at areas to prove yourself right. Oh, I'm stupid because of this, or I'm stupid because of that. So you try and validate your belief, almost like the mind sets out and starts looking for reasons why it's true. And you will also notice that you get very offended or upset when other people call you stupid or infer that you're stupid because it's hitting something that you feel is true in yourself, but you wish wasn't, blah, 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 right? So oftentimes, the thing to look at, if you're not sure, okay, what are some of my hidden beliefs, is what do I get most offended about when people say it to me? Because it's pretty much guaranteed that whatever that person is saying to you, you secretly believe yourself. Otherwise, like why would it bother you? If someone came up to me and said, "Oh, you're so short," or "Oh, your hair is so blonde," because I don't actually believe those as truths. I would just think the person was a bit odd, right? So pay attention to what is it that triggers your reaction, because the chances are deep down in your belief system, you agree with them, but it doesn't mean it's true. You agree with them, but something, that agitation or that trigger is alerting you to the fact it's not true, right? So it's almost like your body is telling you, "Hey, you need to look at this because this is a trigger, because this is something in your system that is not true, right? So the affirmation comes in by allowing you to start looking at areas that you find hard to believe and shifting it. So for example, if you were to work on the thing I am stupid, then the opposite of that, what you find hard to believe, but what you would really like to believe or live is I'm smart or I'm clever or I'm capable or whatever it is, right? So you need to figure out what that is. And then you can send Reiki to it. You can just say it to yourself. You can meditate on it and find proof. So if you were trying to shift a belief and you can't find any truth to it at all, your mind isn't going to accept that. But trust me, there's always proof. Like nobody is stupid 100% of the times, and there'll be lots of examples that you'll be able to find whereby you'll be able to say, actually, I was capable when I did that, or I was capable when I did this. And again, you're not looking for ridiculous standards. You're looking at things like simple things. Oh, I crossed the road without getting run over. Look how capable I am. Sitting in Hanoi at the moment, that's definitely high capability if you can navigate the traffic without dying. So I would definitely give myself a tick for that. And then there could be lots of other things, like maybe you've managed to do something on your own that you thought would be quite difficult, or maybe you've managed to pass some exams, or maybe you've managed to pass your driver's test, or anything. It doesn't matter, but it shows a level of capacity and capability and intelligence to be able to do all those things, and you'll be able to come up with hundreds of others. So the basic idea of an affirmation is to try and shift things into a more positive habit for your mind, especially if you tend to be somebody who is constantly berating yourself or belittling yourself or talking yourself down, right? Because that's a really difficult kind of energy to live in. Like you wouldn't want somebody else just berating you the whole time. And the chances are you had somebody doing that, which is why now you do it. But this is the whole point. If you didn't like somebody else doing it, then why are you doing it to yourself? It's not logical when you really think about it. But the bigger thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of affirmations was the value in looking at one issue at a time. Because the other thing we tend to do is we tend to make it very generic. So for example, you might write an affirmation, I am calm and centered, and I face my day with confidence, and I'm successful in everything I do. Right? Now, on the surface, when you write something like that, you might be like, oh, that's nice. It encompasses everything and it just asks for everything that I want. But there's so much going on there that it is unlikely to really mean anything. It's almost like there's just so many different qualities that you are asking the mind to focus on that it's very difficult for the mind to make sense of any of it. So, as often happens when things get too complicated, the mind just avoids it or ignores it. So, my recommendation is when you're working with affirmations, like let's say these are all things you want. You want to be calm, you want to be centered, you want to have confidence, and you want to be successful, right? That's 4 different things. Which one of these 4 things is the hardest for you right now? Right. And so you might go, actually, it's confidence. That's the hardest thing for me right now. And then you write, I am confident. Now, I don't know if you notice, but there is more energy behind one thing than a whole bunch of things. So if you say, I'm calm, I'm centered, I face my day with confidence, I'm successful in all I do as a sentence, it feels nice, but there's no real direction or energy to that. Whereas if you really hone down and said, actually, what I want to work on is my sense of confidence, and you just wrote, I am confident, and then you sent Reiki to that, or you meditated on it, or you reflected on it, or you really focused on I am confident. And then what you're doing is you're asking your mind to come up with reasons why you are confident, or images or examples or memories of where you were confident in the past. And what that starts to do is it starts to build a different evidence caseload. So essentially, in order to change a belief, the most important thing is to have enough evidence stacked against the new belief that it becomes very easy for the mind to go, yeah, that's true. Because as soon as you think that's true, then you believe it, right? So any of this stuff that you're working on, there has to be a kernel of truth. Like you have to be able to find an example somewhere in your life where you were confident. And maybe if you've really taken a beating with your confidence, you might have to go way back into childhood. Maybe when you first walked into your kindergarten class when you were 3, because you didn't know any better before you'd been like pummeled by society. You just went up to some kid and went, "Hello, I'm Elaine. Who are you?" Right? There's a certain level of confidence that little kids have because they don't actually know any better. So you could just feel that. You could remember that. You could go, actually, I have that in me. That is in me. I've experienced this before. And then you spend your time during your reflection or meditation or your Reiki sending really allowing that information, that data to percolate through your system as proof. I am confident, right? So it's the thing with affirmations, it's about now. I am confident now, not I will be confident or I'm working towards being confident. I am confident. And then you look for data, you look for evidence that that's true. And I feel that if you do that, and you focus. So you really start to hone your affirmations down to one focal point at a time. And then you look for the evidence and you also look for how the mind tries to hijack this shift with, oh no, but yeah, it's all very well. You were 3 then, but for the next 40 years, look at you. And just pay attention to how deeply ingrained some of our negative thoughts can be. And you don't have to resist it, but you can be very compassionate with it. It's like, wow, I have really been beating myself up for 40 years, 50 years, however long it's been. And actually, I'm going to make the choice to stop doing that because it doesn't matter how bad you feel about yourself. It is not obligatory to add to it. It's a simple choice. It's a simple choice to go, actually, I'm not going to do this anymore, and I'm going to find ways to be kinder to myself and to just stop doing that. So it doesn't really matter. Like you might sit there and blame your parents or blame your teacher or blame the bully at school or whatever, but they're no longer here in the room as you're listening to this, I assume. It's just you. But so who's bullying who now, right? That you're the one doing the bullying now. You're the one perpetuating whatever set that off in motion in the beginning, whoever it is that you feel is it was them that did it, or this is why I'm like this. That might well be true. I am not for a moment diminishing the challenges and the brainwashing that happens when we're children really set a very, very deep pattern within our system. But you always have the choice to break the pattern, right? You don't have to keep perpetuating it. You don't have to keep repeating over and over in your mind how much you lack confidence or how stupid you are or how unworthy you are or whatever. You can actually start looking for evidence that tells you the contrary. So actually, I'm confident in this or I'm confident in that. And the confidence, again, doesn't have to be a ridiculous level of success. It could be simply, I'm confident putting on my clothes in the morning. I'm confident making a cup of coffee. I mean, it doesn't matter, right? You're not trying to, and again, watch out for this because the mind will go, oh, but that's just stupid confidence. No, it's confidence. Confidence is confidence, right? So play around with this and play around. If you tend to write quite kind of all encompassing, wordy affirmations, just see how it feels to bring it down into just one focal point. It's much more punchy. It gives the mind something really solid to look for, and there's no real room for the mind to just kind of ignore it or go, well, it's just all a bit of la la, a bit of this, bit of that, right? So you're really starting to focus that mind and focus what you're doing with it and focus on what it is you're trying to shift and really pay attention to the way you keep adding to that energy of negativity. Because all of this is a choice, and you have the choice to and the ability to change it, right? Make your life feel better from the inside. So hope that was helpful, and see you next time. Bye.